Okay. Now, like, go there and start and leave the stage. No, no, go there. Go there. Start that thing. Start webinar. वेबिनार को स्टार्ट करो. सैकत वाले पेज पे जाओ. सैकत वाले पेज पे आराम से. यहाँ पे स्टार्ट करके तुम स्टेज छोड़ दो. स्टार्ट. लीव स्टेज and transition and cut the call. Transition.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's session on income tax notices and what are the types of notices and a little bit of understanding of the notices. Before proceeding, Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Before we start the session, let me just congratulate every single one of Indian because today is a very historic day, and today India landed Chandrayaan 3 in the south pole of the moon. So that's a tremendous achievement, scientific and technological achievement. That said, let's come to today's topic of income tax notices. A little bit of understanding of what income tax notices are and what do they mean actually. Now, firstly, we are going to take a look at the intimation, right? So, intimation is a documentation, a letter sent by the income tax department after they have processed the income tax return, right? But people may understand, people may think that this intimation is actually a tax notice, but in reality, it is not. It is just a communication sent out by the income tax department after they have processed their income tax return, after they have processed the income tax return filed by you. Now, there are three possible outcomes, right? Now, firstly, which is the most majority of the cases, the data as per the income tax return has been accepted by the income tax department, and whatever the tax position was mentioned in the income tax return, that has been accepted and that has been confirmed by intimation. That is the most common. Sorry. Sorry about that. Right. So the most common position of intimation is that uh, whatever the tax position has been mentioned in the income tax return, that has been accepted, right? So in your income tax return filing, you could see that there is a tax refund position or there is a tax neutral position. Now, if these has been accepted by the income tax department, you will get a intimation along the lines of that. However, sometimes income tax department send out a intimation wherein asking for some amount. Now, in case this is the case, right? After getting the intimation, you get to know that there is a demand raised by the income tax department. Firstly, you need to understand why the demand has been raised. There are multiple reasons because of which you can get a intimation wherein a demand has been raised. Most importantly, again, the most common factor for getting the demand is at the time of filing the income tax return, you may have inputted the TDS details incorrectly. That is why, due to certain mismatches, the tax credit has not been afforded to you. Therefore, you are getting a demand, right? So, let's say your tax payable is coming to 100 rupees and you have two TDSs. One is 80 rupees, another is 20 rupees, right? Now, at the time of filing the income tax return, you have inputted the details of 80 rupees correctly. So there is no mismatch, but there is some mistake while claiming the credit of 20 rupees. Now, because every single thing has to be matched in the income tax return, if one detail is not matching, that claim of credit of 20 rupees will be rejected, and thereby the department will raise a demand of 20 rupees, right? This defect or this problem, this demand can be faced by submitting a response to the income tax department. Now, this intimation at max can be issued within 9 months from the end of the financial year in which the return has been filed. So, we are currently in financial year 23-24, for which we are filing the income tax return of financial year 22-23, right? That is the previous year. Now, intimation for financial year 22-23 can be received up till uh, 31st of December 2024, right? That is the timeline within which you should be receiving your intimation. Now, if you are not receiving the intimation within that due date, That means whatever information you have provided your income tax return, that has deemed to be accepted and your return is deemed to be processed, right? Now, in case you are getting a tax demand, please make sure to file your revised tax return within 30 days with corrected claims and everything, right? Position or then there is no requirement for you to respond, right? The In case of refund, the amount will be coming to your bank account within certain days, so there should not be any issues, right? Moving on, uh, section 139.9, defective notice, right? Now, we can be very cautious at the time of filing our income tax return. We could be very, very cautious. However, there are certain mistakes, big human errors that we can do, right? For example, we can claim the TDS but not offer the income corresponding to that TDS, right? So that can happen. Also, there are certain cases wherein you are supposed to put in the breakup of your salary, however it is not been inputted. So because of this, there might be a defective notice coming in your way under section 139.9. Now, to rectify this defect, to cure this defect, a notice rectification can be submitted, right? You can file a rectification. Normally, there is the time limit to respond to this defective notice is 15 days, and you are supposed to file a rectification within 15 days. Now, what happens if you are not submitting it within 15 days, right? If you are not submitting the reply within 15 days, then there is a possibility the department will consider the income tax return that you have filed as an invalid tax return. And if you are filing a revised tax return after that, even though you know this is a revised tax return, the department will not accept it. They will consider that return, the revised return, to be your originally filed return, and a late filing fees under 234F can be charged upon this income tax return, right? So you can certainly do that. However, defective return again can be issued within 9 months from the end of financial year within which the return has been filed. However, because of CPC right now working very fast, you can, in case there is a defect in your income tax return, you can expect the notice to be given to you within a matter of days, right? So be very careful while dealing with defective income tax return. Now, these are the most common type of notices, that is intimations and 139.9 defective notice. However, there are certain other notices which can trigger a lot of problem for the income taxpayers, right? For example, scrutiny assessment under section 143.3, and notice issued for it is under section 143.2. Now, income tax, the rationale behind issuing scrutiny assessment notice under 143.2 is to determine whether all the claims that you have made in your income tax return are genuine or not, right? So basically, income tax department wants to know that if you have claimed certain deductions, if you have claimed certain benefit, you have you in reality have incurred expenses for this or not, right? So before sending out this assessment 143.2, the notice for assessment, the department can ask for a lot of questions, right? They can ask for a lot of questions. Also, they can ask for a lot of relevant documents from you, right? So all these documents, all this information need to be submitted by you. Also, under scrutiny assessment, there is a timeline mentioned in the notice itself. You are supposed to provide uh, response to that notice within that period of date, right? Within that date mentioned. Also, be very careful while addressing those questions, because these type of question could lead to further question asked by the department. If they are not satisfied, they will keep on asking question from your end, right? Not only that, the department can ask multiple times. If you think this assessment can be over in a period of couple of weeks or something like that, that is not the case. Until and unless the department is satisfied, fully satisfied with the genuineness of all the deduction and exemption you have claimed in your income tax return, they will keep sending up these questions. They will ask for all the information that they deem necessary to conduct the assessment in your income tax return in details, right? Now, normally this type of notices can be issued within 3 months from the end of the financial year in which the return was filed, right? So if the return is filed in financial year 23-24, in that case the scrutiny assessment can come to you till June, right? So be very mindful about scrutiny notices. Also, there is one notice which is the most important and uh, crucial of them all, is income escaping assessment under section 147, right? To get this, right, 147, you are going to get a notice under section 148, right? 148 is the starting point of scrutiny assessment, income escaping assessment under section 147, right? However, before starting the proceedings under 147, the department is supposed to give you a opportunity of being heard, right? And that opportunity of being heard is given to you by issuing another notice under section 148A, right? So in this, department will let you know that they have got these findings, right? They may see, or they may inform you that they have a finding of, they may have finding on a lot of things, right? So for example, they can say that they have a finding on certain undisclosed income, certain cash expenditure, right? They may ask certain foreign asset holding, right? So they will list out all the details that they have with them, and they will start asking question about them. If they are satisfied with the question, then that will be the end of it. They will not further go for 147 assessment, income escaping assessment. But if they are not sure about the answer, or uh, the answers to the question raised under 148A has not been answered, in that case the department will start proceeding under section 147. Now, 147 starts when the income tax officer, the assessing officer, has information which suggests that an income has been escaped in the relevant previous year, right? So this can be a very very tricky situation, right? So there may be lot of times when 147 notice is issued. For example, there may be a case wherein an assessee, a person, has claimed fictitious deduction in his income tax return, right? Maybe that person has a home loan, has no home loan. However, that person has claimed home loan in his income tax return. Maybe that person has no deductions under section 80C, but they have claimed a deduction under section 80C, right? So all these attempts, all these exemption deductions claims are basically a way to escaping the income, escaping the assessment, right? So if these information are comes to the notice of the assessing officer, then they will definitely start income escaping assessment, right? Not only that, there are certain time limit for opening up assessment, right? So maximum they can go back 3 years. However, if the income that escapes assessment is more than 50 lakh rupees, then this 3 year can extend till 10 years. Not only that, in case in this income escaping assessment, certain foreign assets are involved, right? Or foreign assets are involved, then the income escaping assessment can open up to 16 years, right? So if income escaping assessment opens up, then it is very, very, troublesome, and you have to be really very precise with your communication to the income tax department. Also, they are going to ask a lot of questions. You have to answer those questions truthfully and along with the proofs that you have, right? Now, uh, in this in this notice, the time limit to respond to that notice will always be given to you. Excuse me. Now there is one key thing I would like to let you know about. In the notice of income escaping assessment, the income tax officer can mention the grounds for which the assessment is being opened. However, during the pendency of this assessment, if additional grounds are found by the assessing officer, in that case, those additional ground can also be covered in the assessment itself. However, there are two contradicting case laws wherein it says that the original reason must survive, so that the additional grounds can also be covered. The other judgment says that in case certain additional reasons have been found, but the original reason did not survive, in that case the department can issue another income escaping assessment notice and start picking up the case. Any which way, if additional grounds for opening up assessment is found during the assessment procedure, in that case, those additional ground can be covered under same assessment or in the follow-up assessment. However, if the time limit has passed, if the findings are time barred, then you are absolutely fine. There is no problem whatsoever. Now, income escaping assessment under section 148, it actually starts by filing your income tax return, right? So this is how you can go about it. Now, under 143.3 and 147, what happens if you do not provide any response? What will happen? Now, if you are not providing any response to these type of notices, department will give you chance to respond to them several times. They will send you reminders. They will send you intimation time and again to get you to respond to that notices. However, if you are not choosing to respond to that notices, the department, after 3 or 4 trials, they will stop uh, sending you reminders. What they will do is they will start the process on their own, suo motu, and based on the information they have, they will complete the assessment, which is called base judgment assessment under section 144, and the department may slap you with a tax demand coupled with interest, coupled with penalty, and income escaping assessment. If it is happening, then the penalty can be as high as 200% of the tax due, right? So be very careful whenever you are getting notices. Re- uh, just see whether these notices are issued under which section, right? So if you are getting a notice under 143 one intimation or 139.9 or those things, then You may have certain time in your hand and urgency may be a little less. But if you are getting notice under section 143 2 and 148, in that case department is starting proceedings against you and you have to be really very careful. Now there is another notice department issues, that is notice under section 133 3 subsection 6. Now under this particular section, department has the power to call in information from yourself, right, or any other person for that matter. Now if you have filed your income tax return, in that case department may ask for certain clarification from your end. In a very large quantity in last couple of months time, wherein we have seen, wherein it has been seen that department is asking for all the deductions that you have claimed or other documentary proofs of deduction you have claimed in income tax return, right? So in case you have received this notice 133.6, really very be careful. Right. Sorry about that. There must be a network issue. Now, as I was saying, that information, the notice issued under section 133.6, wherein income tax department is asking for certain information from your end, right? So if you have filed your income tax return and made a claim of deductions, department may ask you to submit proof of claiming such deduction, right? Maybe you have taken a claim of HRA, house rent allowance, right? The department will ask for what is the basis of claiming this HRA, right? They may ask for the rent receipt, ask for the rental agreement, etc., etc. Right. So, calling for information under Section 133 is, in which by issuing this notice under this section, department will ask from you for all the documentary proofs of all the claims that you have made in your income tax return. Let's say you have made a claim of HRA in your income tax return, right? So department may ask, what is the proof of you paying such rent, right? They will ask for the rental receipt, they will ask for the rental agreement, sometimes even bank statement showing the outflow of rent, right? So that sort of information the income tax department will ask, and this we have seen being issued wherein there has been a lot of claim under a lot of different sections, and by claiming those deductions a huge amount of refund has been claimed the income tax return. Now uh, if you have claimed this type of things in your income tax return fictitiously, then it's better you go ahead and file a ITRU, updated income tax return, and pay the tax dues. Now, in clear tax, we try to help you with any tax position and any tax problems that you are facing, right? If you are getting any type of, if you are getting tax notices, right, in that case you can avail the service of a tax expert, for which you can use the code ITR notice, and you can get a 40% discount on the assisted income tax return filing tax notice management service. Right. So if you are getting any type of notice, if you are getting income tax notices, then definitely you can look for the services. Now, I thank you all for joining with us for understanding the income tax notices in this wonderful, wonderful day of Chandrayaan landing on South Pole of the Moon. I hope you have taken certain understanding of the subject matter of income tax notices, and hopefully it will help you to be prepared in future. Thank you for joining with us. Have a great evening. Bye.